This is a Michelangelo, and it is the artist Josephine zeroed in on God's head, a very powerful man at a mature age with his gray hair flying in the breeze, it looks like. And well, Michelangelo did the Sistine Chapel, where this is a detail from 1508 to 1512. For 4 years he was lying on his back doing the ceiling. It was very hard work for him. And he depicted God the Father in a couple of scenes, like the creation of Adam and the creation of the Son. It's depicting a very powerful image, like in the original. Here we have another Michelangelo. In this case, a study of the Libyan Sibyl. It is just an exquisite drawing. I mean, it's hard, if I saw this depicted in a magazine, I would think that is the original, and a rendering of the original. Now, the Sibyls were females. They were prophets or seers. And back then, when Michelangelo was active in 1510 around, there were no female models. So of course he had a male model, and he depicts the ribs and the muscles are so well articulated, it is really astounding. And Constanza did a fabulous job. Well, here we're going to Impressionism. Claude Monet, who is very famous for his water lilies, this is a work, the water lilies are still well articulated, and so are the lily pads are lined out on the water. The water is, you don't see that broken brush stroke, the typical Impressionist brushwork. And look at that adorable frog winking at us. That is so sweet. It must be done before the 1900s. Monet died in 1926, and he had cataracts after 1900, so that's why the late water lilies are very diffuse, let's say. A nice piece. Here's another Monet, and I would think Paula transcribed a later piece of Monet's water lilies. He did a total of 250 oils of water lilies. So this one, it may be around 1900 or later. It's more diffuse. She really captured the different colors nicely. I believe she used a different medium than Monet did. The colors of the willows, I mean the variations of green come out nicely, the blue water. The lilies are, this pink is very intensive. And it's more abstract. Here we have an Edward Munch. He's a Norwegian expressionist. And the original is called, really, it's called A Scream of Nature, not just The Scream. And in the original, the painting describes an autobiographical experience, which is almost an existential threat to him. His wife and new lover are leaving him. You see them in the background, and he feels like he's left all alone in the world. So that's why he. This scream of nature was, I'm not sure if he actually screamed, but it was depicted. I love Tina's adaptation of the work to today's situation. When you look closely, you find all kinds of messages in it, such as COVID-19, millions of deaths, and of course her signature. And I invite you to look more closely. You will see more messages in it. And there's the little mask as the contemporary edition. She got the colors well transcribed. And it's, yes, the person looks, it's expressing the anxiety and despair he wanted to express in his original. I think it's very amusing and very well done. Well, here we have another scream, and the very neurotic original, the artist, Shannon, came up with a wonderful twist of her own, and she makes it a laugh, which is refreshing nowadays. So, well done. Here's our first Picasso. It's an early one, introducing his blue period, 1901. And it's a lovely young child holding a dove. And the dove stands for innocence and purity. And the artist switched out. There was a ball in the corner, and she put a little cage here for the dove when the child releases it. It's in very simple colors. I love the blue and the bottom green, and it has a strong line around the body of the child. It probably was done in Paris, and it's still in simplified style in the beginning. Lovely piece. Well, here's our second Picasso transcription. It's called Jacqueline with Flowers, and Pablo Picasso met Jacqueline when he was 72 and she was 27. And he actually spent the longest time with this lady. She must have had a fascinating personality. Often art critics called her a sphinx, an enigmatic woman full of mystery. So she must have mystified Picasso. This is, believe it or not, a collage. And I think I see some tapestry here, which reminds me of Matisse. The long neck is beautifully transcribed, and the hair and the facial expression, the flowers. And then the artist put some resin over it, which makes it harder to see that it's a collage. Here's another Picasso, and it's called The Dream. It is about his mistress, Marie-Thérèse Walter. Picasso was 51 and she was 22. Actually, they met when she was 16, and he had to wait before he got involved with her because it would have been statutory rape. The artist, Joanne, must really love this picture. This is a batik. I am sure it involves a lot of effort and a lot of work, and it's really faithfully repeated. And so is this. Picasso is still in love with Marie-Thérèse. You see all round, voluptuous curves. That expresses his love, because later when they had a quarrel, it's all the angular, shrill colors. We're moving on to Pierre-Auguste Renoir, and the original is called In the Meadows, and the artist Nori called it Renoir Comes to the Smokies. Two lovely girls are sitting on the meadow, and they're gathering spring flowers, and the artist replaced, or she added the Smoky Mountains to make it more local and as a contemporary twist. Also, I think she used watercolor while the original was in oil. And the Renoir's feathery brush stroke can often be interpreted as being pastel. What a lovely transcription of the original. Here's another Renoir, Girl Reading, done around 1890. And the artist here did it in pastel. As I just said, Renoir's feathery brushstroke often could be interpreted as being pastel. So he did the right thing. The girl is reading a book, which always means that the woman is educated. And what a lovely rendering of the hat with the flowers, and the light. Some light comes from the window, and there must be a light source here to shine on her face and on her dress. Lovely, lovely rendition.